If I handed you $100 right now, would it change your life? What about $100,000? What about $100 million? Your answer depends almost entirely on where you already stand financially. And yet, most financial advice treats everyone the same. The strategy that gets you from $10,000 to $100,000 is fundamentally different from the one that helps you move beyond that. Nobody tells you that. That's the gap. In this video, we'll break down the 6 levels of wealth, what defines each one, and what matters next for you. It's all based on net worth, everything you own minus everything you owe. Level 1. Under $10,000. Level 1 is defined by vulnerability. Less than $10,000 in net worth means every unexpected event, a medical bill, a lost shift, a car repair, hits harder than it should. A $500 car repair is an inconvenience for someone in Level 3. At Level 1, it can empty your bank account. The data makes this clear. The lowest income earners in the US spent more than 100% of their after-tax income on basic necessities. There's nothing left to cut. So the standard advice to just spend less is almost useless at Level 1. The problem isn't spending, it's income. At this level, there are 2 priorities. The first is getting debt under control. High-interest debt, especially credit card debt, is a hole you genuinely cannot invest your way out of. Stop adding to it before you do anything else. The second is building marketable skills without spending much money doing it. Hard work, free resources, volunteering for experience. These are your real assets right now. And don't forget the relationships in your life. Asking for help isn't weakness. At Level 1, they're often the support system that keeps you stable while you focus on growing your income. The mental frame here is simple. Atypical results require atypical actions. Level 2. $10,000 to $100,000. Level 2 brings breathing room and a trap. You're stable enough that one bad week won't unravel everything. But there's a trap here too. And it catches a lot of people. It's not bad luck. It's invisible mistakes. The most common one is staying in a career that isn't going anywhere. The data tells an uncomfortable story. Households that climb from Level 2 to Level 3 don't do it by trimming the budget. They earn significantly more. The typical Level 3 household earns around $83,000. Level 2 households that stay there earn around $47,000. That gap doesn't close through frugality. It closes through income growth. So Level 2 is where career decisions become the highest leverage financial moves you can make. The idea is to find work at the intersection of what you're genuinely good at, what you're interested in, and what people will actually pay for. You don't need all 3. You need at least 2. Interestingly, Level 2 is also where you see the most upward movement. Most households don't stay here long, but those who do often share that same pattern. They stayed in a career path that wasn't going anywhere. Education fits here too. Level 2 is where education actually matters. You have enough stability to invest in skills, but you can't afford to waste money on something that doesn't work. So, choose strategically. Pick something that leads to higher income. Night classes, boot camps, trade school. The degree itself doesn't matter. The earnings increase does. The frame for Level 2 is learn today, earn forever. Level 3. $100,000 to $1 million. Level 3 is where compounding starts to actually matter. Someone with $100,000 invested earns 10 times more than someone with $10,000 at the same rate. That's a structural advantage that grows every year you stay invested. And here's the counterintuitive part. The first decade of contributions to a long-term portfolio typically accounts for more than half of the final value. Not because of the amounts contributed, but because of the time. Earlier dollars compound the longest, which means the priority at Level 3 is clear. Own income-producing assets, stocks, index funds, real estate, business stakes, things that make money while you're not watching. This is the single biggest behavioral difference between households lower on the ladder and those higher up. The wealthier households don't just hold more cash. They have more assets working for them. The main risk at Level 3 is housing. Around 90% of Level 3 households own a home, and nearly 65% of their total assets are tied up in it on average. A home builds equity. It doesn't produce income. Buying too much house is one of the most reliable ways to stall at Level 3 indefinitely. The frame here is just keep buying. Consistent, patient accumulation of income-producing assets. Level 4, $1 million to $10 million. Level 4 might be the most psychologically tricky rung on the ladder. You're a millionaire, but the lifestyle gap between Level 3 and Level 4 is smaller than most people expect. You can upgrade to business class more often, take more vacations, cover your kids' education without stress. But you're not flying private. You're not buying a second home on a whim. That's genuinely not what Level 4 feels like. And here's the harder truth. The strategy that got you here will not get you to Level 5. Even saving $200,000 a year after tax, the math to reach $10 million takes over 2 decades from Level 4. Most people reach this rung in their early 60s. There simply isn't enough runway to earn your way to Level 5 through salary alone. What actually moves the needle is equity, owning a piece of something that can be sold. A business you start or one you join early enough to earn meaningful ownership. Data shows over 60% of households with significant discretionary wealth got there through business ownership, not salary. Starting a business is genuinely hard. Most fail, and doing it well takes industry experience, a financial cushion, and real tolerance for uncertainty. But if Level 5 is the goal, the honest answer is that a salary, even a high one, probably won't take you there. The frame is a Marshall Goldsmith line that fits perfectly. What got you here won't get you there. Level 5, $10 million to $100 million. Level 5 is rare. Only a small fraction of US households ever reach it. Most people reach Level 5 through one concentrated bet, a single business they poured everything into. That focus is exactly what created the $10 million. But when you're betting everything on one thing, that's also your biggest vulnerability. History is full of entrepreneurs who rode one business to extraordinary wealth, then lost most of it because they stayed concentrated when they should have diversified. The traits that build a $10 million business, conviction, focus, high-risk tolerance, are often the exact traits that resist selling. Research on serial entrepreneurs shows a clear pattern. Many of the most successful people at Level 5 had already sold one business before building the next. The first exit isn't the destination, it's the foundation. The non-financial risks also escalate here. Trust erodes when your wealth is known. Family dynamics shift. The pressure to keep climbing can quietly distort your sense of what's actually enough. And it's worth sitting with that question honestly. At Level 5, 99% of life's experiences are within reach. The gap between here and Level 6 in terms of what you can actually do and enjoy is far smaller than most people think. But here's the harder truth. The real threat to Level 5 isn't what you can't buy. It's what you can lose. And that's where paranoia and prudence come in. The frame for Level 5 is this. What built your wealth is now your biggest risk. Diversify. Protect your wealth through smart decisions, not paranoia. Level 6, over 100 million. Level 6 is extraordinarily rare. We're talking about roughly 10,000 US households and fewer than 30,000 adults globally. And at Level 6, the challenge is no longer accumulation, it's preservation. Bad investments, legal exposure, overspending on high-maintenance assets, concentrated bets, these are the real threats. A financial life this complex genuinely requires experts, tax professionals, estate planners, legal advisors. That's not a luxury. It's the baseline. But there's something subtler worth noting. Even at this level, wealth can distort perception. Charlie Munger, one of the greatest investors in history, expressed genuine regret near the end of his life. He had billions, but he wished he'd accumulated trillions. He thought he should have been smarter, quicker, richer. Even him. But here's the better approach. Alfred Nobel read his own obituary in a newspaper, published by mistake while he was still alive. The words made him realize how he'd be remembered. So he redirected his fortune to change that legacy. Which means the real question at Level 6 isn't how do I get more? It's what do I want to do with what I have? Legacy isn't abstract at this level. It's a decision. And here's how it works. Legacy isn't built by money alone. It's built by action. Your wealth just amplifies whatever you decide to do, so the action has to come first. Here's the bigger insight this 6-level framework gives you. Most financial disagreements aren't real. They're conversations aimed at different levels. Obsessive budgeting sounds like Level 1 advice. Starting a business is Level 4 or 5 advice. Neither is wrong. They're just different rungs. Once you see that, the noise settles down. You stop trying to apply everything and ask, what level am I at? And what does the next rung require? And just so you know, level 1 isn't a moral failure. It's a position. From any position, there is a next move. This video was inspired by The Wealth Ladder by Nick Majuli, which offers a useful way to think about wealth in stages, not just as one number. There's more on this channel about investing, income, and the psychology of building wealth. Check out what's on screen right now if you want to keep going. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. Thanks for watching.